I was taught credit cards are evil, they're dangerous, stay away. Business owners, listen up. The cash value of the trip was over $30,000, and we paid less than $2,000.
Our guest today is Mary Ellen, joining us from Wonderland On Points.
If you are not in the points and miles world and you like to travel, you are sitting on a gold mine of points with your business.
Who's going to talk to us about how we can use credit card points, miles, to book travel almost for free.
You can book with that one sign-up bonus 3 nights maybe in New York City, and you pay $0 out of pocket.
How to get those sign-up bonuses?
No matter what the categories are, I want to make sure I meet the minimum spending requirement. Common time frame is the first.
Hello and welcome to the Compounding Project podcast, where we talk about taking small steps to become healthy, wealthy, and wise. I'm your host Satish Kachala, and this episode is all about wealth, especially travel hacking. Mary, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It is really a joy to get to chat about travel and traveling on points and miles with anybody who will listen. So I am excited to be here.
You know, this is the first time we're talking about travel hacking on this podcast. So I'm excited. Our listeners are excited. So I'm going to dive right in. What is travel hacking for somebody who has never heard of it before? So what is travel hacking in the simplest terms?
Okay, so travel hacking, and I will say that term, if you start looking into it, that term is kind of becoming a little more faux pas because the banks don't love it, right? They don't love something that includes hacking in terms of their banks and security and doing things the right way. So you may see it online as award travel, as traveling on points and miles. And the concept is all built on strategically opening credit cards, spending on your everyday spending, earning points, and then maximizing those rewards for travel. Because a lot of people use credit cards and they say, oh, I get 1% cash back on my credit card. But if you love to travel, you can actually get way more value for the miles and the points that you earn by transferring them from the bank in which you earn them, from the credit card that you earn them, to what we call transfer partners. That's hotels and airlines that partner with the banks, and you can get so much more value for your money. So that's kind of the basis, the foundation of traveling with points and miles.
Got it. Yeah, I mean, there are so many nuggets in what you just said. I want to unpack a few right there. But before that, can you talk about when did you actually get into travel hacking? Was there any aha moment for you?
Oh man, so many aha moments. I remember the first time was probably 6 or 7 years ago. My husband and I wanted to go on a big anniversary trip. And we just really couldn't afford it. I was a teacher at the time. He was in graduate school. How are we going to pay for this? And so we got the idea if we open a credit card, when you open a new one, they give you this big chunk of points. If you spend so much money in the first, say, 60 days, they may give you 60,000 points. What if we could pay for a flight, one of our flights, with the points that we earn by doing that? And we just thought we kind of had this idea, right? We didn't even know that there was this whole thing and whole industry built around award travel. And so we did it. At the time, we did not know the ins and outs of it. We really did not know how to maximize our earning, but we did get a flight. We went up to Banff in Canada. And in British Columbia, gorgeous. The Canadian Rockies are just stunning. And it was like, wow, we made this dream trip come true because of opening a credit card. And that's when it started clicking. And it really even wasn't for a few years later that I kind of went down the rabbit hole that you do when you are first get into this, because it gets so exciting so quickly that you just start gobbling up all the information you can find. But since then, we have taken so many just unforgettable trips thanks to knowing how to strategically open credit cards.
Yeah, that sounds it almost sounds like too good to be true, right?
Yeah.
I mean, especially, yeah. So can you talk about maybe a few trips at a very high level so that listeners will understand, the possibility of credit card points and miles, right? So can someone talk about some trips that, how long you spent or maybe how much you spent and, what was it for?
Sure. So recently last summer, we went on a trip to Switzerland. Switzerland had been a bucket list dream destination for me for as long as I can remember. And it never seemed like it would be possible. And in the end, we flew business class to Switzerland. We didn't just fly to Switzerland. We flew business class. We stayed at fancy hotels. It was a trip that the cash value of the trip was over $30,000. And we paid, I need to look at my spreadsheet, but I'm pretty sure we paid around $1,500, less than $2,000 for a $30,000+ trip. And that is what is possible when you know how the power of using transfer partners to maximize the value of your points.
I think, my eyes are wide open and my head is exploding, right? Like $30,000 worth of trip, you can do that less than $2,000.
Right.
That's like, again, yeah, it's too good to be true. So maybe we'll get to the basics. So you mentioned opening multiple credit cards. So let's say, for a beginner who's just listening to this, right, opening multiple credit card, it seems like a scam, right? Or maybe,
Yes.
yeah. So let's see. So for somebody who's just starting out and listening to this travel hacking for the first time, if I open multiple credit cards, I feel like, my FICO score, if in the US, it gets affected.
Mm-hmm.
That's my first impression. So what are your thoughts on that?
It was terrifying to me. I was someone who grew up in a home where I was taught credit cards are evil, they're dangerous, stay away. I did not have a credit card. I didn't personally open a credit card in my name until my mid-30s because I was terrified. I always used debit cards because I said, I want to be responsible for my family. Debt, we don't want any kind of debt, nothing like that. And so I always used debit cards. And once I learned about points and miles, I realized that actually wasn't being responsible. That was leaving thousands of dollars worth of travel every year on the table because I could responsibly use a credit card. A credit card in itself is not evil. The misuse of credit cards is very dangerous, and we don't want that. But my family, after doing this hobby, we have zero credit card debt, and that is foundational for this. So this hobby is not for someone who doesn't think that they can responsibly use a credit card. If you have to pay interest on a balance, that is going to negate the rewards you would earn from this. So you need to stay far away from it until you are comfortable using a credit card like a debit card, paying off the balance every single month, never spending more than what you can pay off in a month. So that's kind of foundational. The other question that I had or concern is the credit score question, right? That is the biggest thing. The number one thing that people are concerned about, and I was concerned about, what I found out is it actually helped my credit score because credit scores are made up of a number of things. And I had very little debt extended to me from banks. And that is a piece of a credit score, is your credit utilization. And when I had no credit extended to me, then the debts I did have, maybe from just our house, is really the only debt that we have is our home loan. I didn't have any other credit extended to me to kind of make my ratio better. And so once I started opening credit cards strategically, not going crazy, but opening them strategically, my credit score actually improved. I had a low 700 credit score. Now I have an 800 credit score. My husband's credit score is well over 800. And that is with traveling on points and miles for many years. So it did not hurt our credit score. You will, when you apply for a new credit card, you will see a momentary, perhaps decline in your credit score, but that is temporary and that goes away. The biggest thing is paying your balances on time. That's the biggest piece of your credit score. You don't ever want a late payment. But there are elements, and I have a whole article on this on our website, wonderlandonpoints.com, just of the elements of a credit score and what the components are and how it affects it. But essentially, I found it to be very helpful for my credit score. So I got travel and a better credit score.
Yeah, I mean, who would have thought, right? I mean, that was my
Right.
first impression. I thought, okay, if I open multiple credit cards, my FICO score would go down. But, it happened to me as well. Like, it actually went up rather than going down. It was a shock for me. So you mentioned something very important for somebody who has this maybe credit card problem. Let's say it's a spending problem. and then if they transfer their balance or carry their balances every month, so it's not for them, right? Because the interest usually it's like maybe let's say 24% APR, which is like 2% per month, which again it compounds also. It's compounding in a different direction. So we'll take two-person scenarios here. So for somebody who's 25 and who just got out of college, maybe has a $70,000 job and has $5,000 on credit card, but he has a student loan debt, let's say, of 30K. So can he start, can he start travel hacking, I would say?
Sure. I think one of the things the banks look for the travel credit cards. So there's all kinds of credit cards on the market, right? Even stores that you shop at have credit cards, which we encourage people to never, ever sign up for a new credit card so you get 10% off on your purchase. You can get so much more than that. So please do not do that. A lot of people have done it. No shame if you've done it, but it is encouraged to get a lot of value when you sign up for a new credit card. But they really like for your credit score to be over 700, even better if it's maybe 750 or higher. But over 700 is ideal. If you're not quite there yet, a lot of times the banks have an array of cards that are travel credit cards, and they have different tiers. And they have maybe one that's a no annual fee card, one of their lower tier cards. They might have a mid tier, and then they might have a really high level elite travel card. You may need to start with one of those lower cards and work your way up. There are a lot of banks like Capital One. I really love when people start out with, I typically recommend people start out with like a Capital One Venture card if they can get approved for it, or Venture X if they can get approved for it, depending on where you live. There's a lot of factors. I'm always happy to talk with people about their individual factors, what's best for them. But I like that card, and they have a pre-approval tool. So before you go all the way through the application process, Capital One will let you kind of start applying, and then they'll say, okay, these are the cards that we would approve you for. Do you want to move forward with one of them? I think that's a good recommendation for people so that you don't have, when you go through with an application, there is that hard inquiry on your credit report, but some banks will tell you before you get to that hard inquiry whether they're going to approve you. So you may want to go that route first, just to make sure you're applying for something you're going to get approved for.
We'll get back to the episode in just a few seconds. 94% of people who watch this channel haven't subscribed. If you're enjoying this episode, can you do me a quick favor and hit that subscribe button? It helps the channel grow and brings in even more guests so that I can provide more value to you in the future episodes. Now, back to the episode. Let's say if one person, he doesn't have any spending problem, but if he has these student loans and also maybe a mortgage that he has to pay for, right? But that's still a debt. So when you said we have to not have any debt, right? Do you only refer to credit cards or any other loans?
Yeah, that's a great question. No, I was speaking specifically to credit card debt. So I have a home loan. I have that. That's one debt. I don't have any student loans at this point, but I do have a home loan. But it's not for people who don't think they can have a credit card without accumulating credit card debt. You really want to be out of credit card debt before you do this.
Got it. Yeah, that makes total sense. Now, I think we have established the foundations, and for somebody who's listening, okay, they understood travel hacking, hopefully, and then they understood what are the possibilities, right? And then they don't have any credit card debt. So it's basically putting this regular spending on these credit cards, which we are going to talk about for the rest of the podcast. It's just day-to-day spending. We're not spending anything extra that we are not supposed to, but just using that day-to-day spending wisely and to earn these points. So, okay. Now let's start. So for a beginner who wants to start with travel hacking, so let's say, maybe we look at two possibilities. Like, okay, one, I don't have any travel planned yet, right? But maybe I could travel next year or the year after. Maybe they want to get started with travel hacking. So what are the first steps, or what are some of the beginner friendly cards that someone can start with?
Yeah, so we love to recommend that people start with a credit card that has a flexible point currency. And what that means is you can have travel credit cards that are specifically branded for one hotel chain or one airline, a Delta credit card, a Hyatt hotel credit card. But then the points that you earn on those cards can only be used for those specific companies. Whereas if you have something like the Capital One Venture card that I mentioned, or a Chase Sapphire Preferred card, or an American Express Gold card, those banks have a long list of transfer partners. They have multiple hotels, multiple airlines that you can transfer points to. So that way, if you're just starting out, you know you want to travel, you don't know where you want to go yet, just start earning points. Just start capitalizing on your everyday spending. The American Express Gold Card is one of my biggest points earners every year. It's one of my favorite cards year after year because it earns 4 times points on groceries, 4 times points on restaurants. And food tends to be, I'm a mother of 3, family of 5. Food is our biggest line item month in and month out, right? So I love that card because I just accumulate points and then I can transfer those points. I can send them to Delta. I can send them to any number of Hilton hotels, Marriott hotels, based on the transfer partners and lists for each bank. So I would recommend, if you're not sure where you want to go, definitely get a flexible points currency card first. And then down the road, if you have a specific destination in mind, you can kind of reverse engineer your trip. You can think, okay, what hotel chains are here? What hotel chains are most likely that I'm going to want to stay at? Or what airlines have direct flights from where I live to the destination? And figure out who transfers to those airlines, or maybe go in on an airline hotel card. But there are so many flexible point currency cards that often people want to kind of, over time, collect one maybe from each bank to diversify, make sure they have the ability to transfer to everybody's list of transfer partners, really expand their horizons. I recommend you kind of start there before you go into specific airlines or hotels.
Got it. I think so. One of my favorite first cards, I mean, I'm still using it, the Chase Sapphire Preferred. I like it so much. And the Chase Ultimate Reward Points also, I heard, can transfer to, multiple airlines or hotels and stuff, right? So can you talk about, you mentioned transferring points. So for somebody, who's not aware at all, right? So there are 3 ways that, we can book a travel. We can either directly purchase it, using a normal credit card. We can directly purchase it, right? Or we can go through the travel portal, Chase Travel Portal or Amex Travel Portal, or we can do a points transfer also. So can you talk about which one is the optimal way and why the other way is not efficient?
So you can definitely, with various credit cards, you can purchase a trip, you're going to stay at a Hyatt hotel. I really love the Hyatt hotel chain for the value that is available through it. But if I pay for a Hyatt hotel, I could, on most credit cards, give you the ability to cash in your points for a statement credit to cover whatever purchase you made. You might get 1 cent per point or 1.25 cents per point, kind of a very basic amount. And that's what a lot of people do. They cash in their points just for cash off of their statement credit for whatever credit card they use. Then the next step, and the way that I initially thought, oh, I'm doing this right, this is the way to do it, is by booking travel through a travel portal. And most banks have one, the Chase Travel Portal, Capital One Travel. Most of the banks have a way that you can book a hotel with your points or your miles that you accumulate through their portal. And maybe sometimes they give you a little points boost, Chase is calling it these days, where they allow your points to be worth 1.5 cents per point. It varies by bank. So you may get a little more value that way. Sometimes you can find a good deal that way. But typically, what we have found is you get the most bang for your buck and the most cents per point value is if you transfer the points. So the same Hyatt hotel, if you transfer the points to it, maybe instead of getting 1 cent per point, you get 3 cents per point. So you get so much more. Your points go further when you transfer the points. And you do have to weigh the options. Typically, before I book something, I might look both ways. I might look through the travel portal, see how many points something is going to cost me. And then I'll go to, say, the Hyatt website, and I'll see how many points per night are you going to charge me, and see which one is better. Often, again, it is transferring your points out that's going to be better than the travel portal. But there are many times, too, that the travel portal can hold up and you can get some good deals that way.
Got it. I think this trick has actually saved me thousands of dollars, right? Just Hyatt points. I've heard this on the Choose FI podcast. I'm a big listener to the podcast. And then they mentioned you can book transfer Chase points to Hyatt, and then it's actually a game changer for me. Since 5 years, I haven't paid a single dollar for hotel, right? And that too, like Hyatt, it's 5,000, mostly 5,000 or 7,500 points per night, which is actually, let's say if you have a sign up for 60,000 points on Chase, that will give you 12 nights
Yes.
that you can stay. So yeah,
Incredible.
since we are on this topic, can you talk about this sign up bonuses, right? And the sign up points.
Sure.
So like how to get those sign up bonuses, and are there any restrictions when it comes to this credit card usage time frame and so on and so forth?
Yes. So anytime you're going to sign up for a new credit card, you want to look at what their welcome offer is. And a common welcome offer may be 60,000 points if you spend, say, $4,000 in the first 3 months. So when you sign up for that credit card, when it comes in the mail, generally, no matter what the categories are, so like I mentioned with the Amex Gold card that I like that earns 4 times back on groceries and restaurants, if I signed up for a different new credit card, in that first 3 months of having the new credit card, I'm even going to use it probably at restaurants and groceries because I want to make sure I meet the minimum spending requirement. So until I spend $4,000, or sometimes it's $3,000, sometimes it's $6,000, every credit card is different. Make sure you know how much you need to spend on that card and the time frame that you have to do it. Common time frame is the first 90 days, 60 days. Some American Express often has 6 months. Make sure you know what it is. Put a little dot in your phone. A lot of times the banks have trackers so you can kind of see as you get closer to the spending requirement. And then they will give you that huge chunk of points plus whatever points you earned on what you spent. So if you had to spend $4,000, even without multipliers, you're going to have spent at least 4,000, earned at least 4,000 points. So you would have gotten the sign up bonus, the welcome offer, plus 4,000 points. And you've got a huge chunk of points that now you can travel with. So what people don't realize is you can actually make a trip happen pretty quickly. Like you mentioned with the Hyatt hotels, it is so easy to book them. Once you book them, you pay $0 out of pocket for them. I'm going this week. I'm flying up to Minnesota for a week with my daughters. We're going to this really fun camp up there, but we're staying at a Hyatt hotel for 4 nights. The reason I can do that is not because I'm wealthy, but I know how to transfer my points to Hyatt, and I'm paying $0 for 4 nights at a hotel for them to go do this really cool thing. So it opens up so many possibilities for your family.
Hey, before we get back to the episode, I've got something special for you. I spent the last 3 months putting together my top 100 life-changing books. The link is in the description, and I would love for you to check it out. Now, let's get back to the episode. Yeah, definitely. That's a game changer for sure. So for in terms of spending, right, let's say, for Chase Sapphire has, maybe let's say $4,000 in the first 3 months. Or somebody, who doesn't, have that spending limit. Let's say, if they're close to it, like maybe they can spend $3,000 in 3 months. And then if that extra $1,000, right, are there any ways, to meet that minimum spend, not just by spending it, but efficiently? What are some tips that you can give there?
Well, in general, I would say take that under consideration ahead of time. And do not overextend yourself because you do not want a credit card to cause you to overspend your means and live outside your means, do anything that you can't afford. Now, maybe if you're close, friends or family can help you out, maybe your mom needs to buy some big ticket item and she's not so into points and miles and she'll let you put it on your credit card and pay you back, You might can find some little tricks like that. There are some other ways that people do it that I don't feel comfortable sharing just because that are similar. I would say there's something called buying groups. Sometimes people do. I have never done that. I don't recommend people do that. But there are ways people that manufacture spend sometimes in order to meet a welcome offer. Again, I would say be very cautious of anything that, causes you to go beyond your means. I would just stick to immediate friends and family. Can you help us, Sister Al's or anything? You go out to lunch with a bunch of people. You're like, I'll pay for it. And then you guys Venmo me back, maybe that kind of thing is as far as I would go. I would just generally never sign up for a card that I didn't think I could comfortably meet the welcome offer on.
Got it. So so before we sign up, so we'll have to be careful on the terms and conditions. Let's say, the minimum spend. So you mentioned 3 credit cards, right? So Chase Sapphire Preferred, so Capital One Venture X, and also Amex Gold. So I'm looking at the requirements and also the annual fee. That's something that we haven't talked about so far. So yeah, can you talk about the first time I saw this? I mean, I was very excited, and then when I looked at the annual fee, and then my excitement dropped, right? So can you talk about at a high level, like should we care about the annual fee?
That's a great question. And that was another big question that I had because I come from a background of annual fee just sounds terrifying. And absolutely, I don't want a card that has an annual fee. And travel credit cards typically do have larger annual fees because the banks work out things with other companies to give you credits for things that offset the annual fee. So, for example, the Capital One Venture X card, it has a $395 annual fee. Within that annual fee, they give you a $300 travel credit. So for that one, it's like, okay, it's almost like prepaying for $300 worth of travel during the year. And then they give you TSA PreCheck, that the value of that play into it. Then they give you 10,000 anniversary points each year that would be worth a minimum of $100. So they give you all of these benefits that typically add up to more than the cost of the annual fee. So you are getting way more benefit than the cost. The American Express Gold Card is actually what's the word that I'm looking for? It's actually a money earner for me. I end up at the end of the year earning money from having that card, aside from the benefit of all the points and miles, because the annual fee on that card is pretty high. But the benefits they give me Uber Eats credits every single month. They give me Grubhub credits every single month. They give me a restaurant credit twice a year that is $50 at any restaurant that's on the Resi platform. I use all the benefits of that card, and the benefits of the card outweigh the cost of the annual fee by over $100. And I use all those benefits. So I come away with more money in the end than the annual fee I pay. Annual fees, the more you get into it and you look at the benefits of the card, they get a little less scary. Some of the top tier travel cards, there's a big trend right now in points and miles, and all of the banks are increasing. Those high level credit cards, they're all going up. The American Express Platinum card, the annual fee just went up and now it's going up again. The new Chase Sapphire Reserve card, the annual fee, they just really jacked up. So look closely when you're thinking of which card is right for you at the benefits. Some of the cards, the benefits make sense for me. Maybe they have a Walmart Plus membership, and my family does a lot of Walmart Plus. Some of them don't make sense for me. A Peloton credit. Okay, I don't have a Peloton. I don't need that credit. So some of the credits are not going to fit you, and some of them are. So always take that into consideration when you're applying for a card.
Basically, like I have an Excel sheet. I'm big into the spreadsheets, right? And then I usually evaluate, which card is best because I'm big on like Instacart groceries. I mean, I usually don't go to Costco
Love
at all.
Instacart.
So I use, Amex Gold for Instacart, and then, the Forex on groceries is such a game changer. So when it comes to the credit, right? So you mentioned, let's see, Resi points. So can you talk about what that is?
Oh, Resi. So that's one of the benefits of the American Express Gold Card. Resi is a platform, a website where you can get a reservation for a restaurant. But what we found is that credit is actually really easy to use because you don't actually have to make a reservation through the Resi platform. If you go to a restaurant that is a part of Resi, that participates in the Resi program, it will automatically trigger that credit as a statement credit on your account. So like in the town that I live, there is a restaurant that's a part of Resi. If I go eat there and pay with my American Express Gold Card, it automatically will take off $50 every 6 months. So $50 from January to June and then July to the end of the year. I don't actually have to book it through Resi at all, which was an interesting thing. It made that credit very easy to use. Now, I will say whatever credit card you sign up for, sometimes you have to enroll in those benefits. They don't happen automatically. So always go into the portal that they give you, log into your account and make sure you have chosen to enroll in all of the benefits that are extended to you so that you get the credits.
Got it. Yeah. All right. So let's go back to the person that we were talking about. Let's say, somebody who just, who doesn't have any credit card yet. And maybe, as a beginner card, he started with Chase Sapphire Preferred, right? So he spent the $4,000 in the first 3 months and he has accumulated, let's say, like 60,000 points. So what should he do now? Should he use this credit card, and it doesn't have any travel plan, right? So should you keep using that credit card to accumulate points on, maybe daily spend? Or should he go to a different card, let's say Amex Gold or a Capital One Venture X, and start accumulating points with the other card?
That's a great question, and you're going to see varying perspectives on this. We call this velocity. And so some people who get into this hobby, they start opening credit cards as frequently as, between 30 and 45 days. Once they finish the minimum spend on one, they may open another one. I tend to wait at least 90 days, at least 3 months. Another thing that people do is they alternate personal credit cards with a business credit card. Typically, business credit cards do not show up in the same way on your credit report. And so if people have a side hustle or a business that they can use to get a business credit card, they will add that into their mix. I don't think anyone should go faster than they feel comfortable with. My husband, he may open 2 credit cards a year, roughly. I might open 3 or 4, but I have a business and he does not have a business. So business owners, please, business owners, listen up. If you are not in the points and miles world and you like to travel, you are sitting on a gold mine of points with your business. You should absolutely be in this game and opening business credit cards and taking yourself all around the world because you have a real opportunity to do that. For me, I will open a card, and I only open a card if I have a reason, okay? Don't get shiny new card syndrome is what we call it, where you see a new welcome offer on a card and you think, oh, I have no plan for this card, but I'm just going to open it. Right at first that works out okay because you don't have a lot of cards. Maybe you're just collecting some of those transferable point currency cards, general cards that have a lot of options. But the further you get into it, you really want to have a reason for the cards that you're opening, a specific trip in mind or destination in mind. So I would say if you're brand new to this, pick your favorite one, whether it's through Chase, Capital One, or Amex. Doesn't really matter if you don't have a destination in mind. They're all flexible point currencies. Pick one. And I would say, use the categories. So the Amex Gold, I really like. Again, that is my everyday spending. That's a good one for me. So I will predominantly use that one moving forward to maximize my categories, unless it's time for me to sign up for a new bonus. Then I'll sign up and use that new card for a while, but then I go back to old trusty Amex Gold. But there are a couple of them that you always go back to because they really have the best multiplier categories.
Got it. Yeah, I think that's a powerful tip. Even I open like once every 6 months or so. And then, so one other question that people might have is, let's say if this person opens credit cards, right? So first, the first 6 months, Chase Sapphire Preferred, and then maybe the next 6 months he opens an Amex Gold. And then the next 6 months, maybe he might open a Capital One Venture X. So at this point, right, he's 18 months into this travel hacking journey, and he has accumulated all the bonus points from these 3 credit cards, right? So now, but if you consider the annual fees, right, on these 3 cards, let's say, $395 for Capital One and $325 for Amex Gold, and then $95 for Chase Sapphire. So we're looking at roughly like around $900 when it comes to annual fees. So do you have any tips on, maybe reducing the annual fee? Are there any ways to do that, or should he, or does he have to pay all 3 fees? Yeah.
Absolutely. There are strategies. So one of the things I encourage people to do, especially with American Express, I've been very successful with American Express, is they usually will have a chat feature, right? A customer service chat. You can call them. It's better if you can do it online. It's just easier. No one likes to call someone these days. So I will go on there and I'll say, hey, Once my annual fee posts, right, I've had the card for a full year, the annual fee posts, and I say, I don't know. I don't know if I want to keep this. I will go into the customer service chat and say that. I don't know if I really am going to get the value from this card. They'll try to say, oh, but don't you know all the benefits? I'll say, let me stop you right there. I know all the benefits very well. Do you have a retention offer that you can give me? Do you have a retention offer available to me? And they usually do. And if you don't like it, you can say, I'm going to keep thinking about it. Don't close my account. I'm going to keep thinking about it. Hang up and call again, or cut off the chat. Try again the next day, because the offer varies even daily by the day. But you can get something like maybe another mini, it's almost like a mini welcome offer, because they'll say, okay, if you spend $2,000 in the next 30 days, we'll give you 20,000 points. So they'll sweeten the deal and they'll give you another chunk of points. I've had a lot of success with the Amex Gold, the Amex Platinum doing this. If the annual fee changes, specifically the Amex Platinum is about to change their annual fee. My husband has an Amex Platinum. When it comes time for his annual fee, I'm going to say, you know what? I'm not so sure with these changes. I don't think this is right for us anymore. Try to get a retention offer. So that's one strategy. If it is a card that you truly don't want anymore, the annual fee doesn't make sense for you. It generally makes sense the first year because of the huge welcome offer. So no matter what the annual fee is, that first year, you're getting such value from that welcome offer, because those welcome offers should easily be worth $600 to $1,500 or more, depending on how you use the points. The first year, it's worth it. But the second year, third year, it might not be worth it anymore. It is okay to close a card. People are very scared of what that will do to their credit score. Ultimately, it is okay to close a card. We do recommend that you try to keep open your longest credit cards, the ones you've had for the longest amount of time, because the length of your credit history does play into your credit score. But if it's a card you've only had for a year, it's really not going to affect the length of your credit history that much. If you'd like to keep the credit that they've extended to you, sometimes you can transfer it to another card if you don't want to lose all of that credit. Sometimes once you have a bunch of credit cards, you actually have too much credit extended to you. So you're kind of happy to cut one loose and lose that. So there's a lot of different options for you, but you don't have to be terrified. I have an 800 credit score. I've closed a couple of credit cards. It's okay. It's okay.
Got it. So this might be a silly question, but let's say if you close a card, will our points expire?
That is a great question. That's not silly at all. So if it is one of these transferable point cards, you want to use up your points, maybe transfer them out to, say, Hyatt Hotels. If you're closing your Chase card and you don't have another Chase card that can use the points, go ahead and transfer them to where you think you want to use them, transfer them to Hyatt. Now, if it was a co-branded card, like say you had a Southwest Airlines credit card that you signed up for to earn the welcome offer, or earn something they have called a companion pass, which is really awesome. After a year, you may want to close that Southwest card. Always wait at least a year. But people are worried, are my points going to go away? No. When you open points with a co-branded credit card from an airline or hotel chain, as soon as you get the points, after a statement closes, it goes to whatever airline it is. So my points have left Southwest Airlines credit cards are co-branded with Chase Bank. When I earn those points, they are not in my Chase account. Once I earn the points, they go to my Southwest Rapid Rewards account. They're no longer in Chase Bank. So if I close the credit card, it goes away from Chase Bank, but my points are safe and secure over in my Southwest Airlines Rapid Rewards account.
That's a great hack. I never knew this before. Like, you can just transfer all the points to, let's say, Hyatt, and then, maybe, yeah. So when it comes to closing, there is also an option I heard when it comes to like downgrading a card, right? So can you talk about that?
Yeah, I've done that as well. So if you have, a lot of times the travel credit cards are a part of a family of cards. So this Chase Sapphire Preferred that you have, also other cards that earn Chase Ultimate Rewards are the Chase Freedom cards, and those are no annual fee cards. So if you do not want to pay an annual fee, you may want to downgrade to a Chase Freedom card. Now that can come with restrictions depending on the credit card. So with Chase Freedom, even though it earns Ultimate Rewards, you can't utilize the transfer partners without a Sapphire card. Now, you could have the business card or the personal card, but the Sapphire card is kind of a gateway to using the transfer partners. So think about that. Are you going to still be able to use the points in a way you want to? Sometimes in the past, people would downgrade after so many years just to sign up again and re-earn a welcome offer. That has recently become harder because the banks have caught on to people trying to earn the same welcome offer over and over again. But with other banks like Citi is a player in the game that I haven't talked about yet, but they this summer have really come on strong because American Airlines, I know that you're in the Charlotte area, hub for American Airlines. American Airlines points have always been very coveted because until recently, there was no bank that earned points that could be transferred to American Airlines. You could transfer to United, Delta, Southwest, JetBlue, everybody else, but American did not have a way for you to earn those transferable points for them. However, Citi has recently announced that they are now a permanent transfer partner, American Airlines. So people are looking into Citi cards. We have some episodes on our podcast about this and more coming up. But with the Citi cards, it's interesting because with their family of travel credit cards, their elite level travel credit cards, those earn points that can be transferred to American Airlines. The Citi Double Cash or Custom Cash, which are their no annual fee cards, those have access to some transfer partners, but not all of them. So you could transfer to JetBlue, but you can't transfer to American Airlines. Just always think about what you want to use the points for. And if you downgrade to a no annual fee card, are your points still going to be able to be used the way you want them to? Or should you have already transferred them somewhere so that they're safe where you want them to go?
Got it. Okay. Yeah, I always thought, for American Airlines, there was not a direct transfer partner, but I'm glad I've never heard about
It's brand
Citi.
new. I mean,
Yeah.
literally in the last few weeks, it was announced.
Wow. I'm gonna look at that. I'm so excited. For when it comes to I really want to know about your Switzerland trip. Maybe at a high level we'll talk about it later. I just want to ask a couple questions before that. So for beginners, right? So what are some of the mistake that you see beginners making when it comes to travel hacking or opening credit cards?
So one of the biggest mistakes, and I definitely did this at first as well, when you sign up for a new credit card, part of the application process will ask you, do you want to make an authorized user of the card? So when I signed up for my very first credit card, like I said, I was in my 30s. I was so proud of myself and happy to do this because my husband had some credit cards that were, our joint credit cards, but I had never done it on my own. So when I first signed up for a card, I said, oh yeah, of course, I'm making my husband an authorized user on this card. Well, I do want my husband to use the card, but I don't want him to be technically an authorized user because when you sign up for new credit cards, they do look at your credit report and at how many credit cards have you opened recently. And when you make someone an authorized user, that puts a little ding on their credit report. And it looks to banks like they opened a credit card. So the reason you don't want to do this, we call it player 1 and player 2 mode. To really, if you have a partner and your family is trying to maximize the number of points you can earn, you kind of want to do it as an individual where you open credit cards and then your player 2 opens credit cards, but you don't want to make them an authorized user because it will limit the number of credit cards that you can both apply for. So in this day and age, when you get a new credit card in the mail, maybe you put it in your wallet, right? Your Apple Wallet, in your phone. How often do we even use the physical credit card anymore? So what I'll do if I get a new card, I put it in my phone wallet, and then I give my husband the physical credit card. He can still use it, even though he's not technically an authorized user on the card. Does that make sense?
Yes. I made the same mistake as well. Why do you, when it comes to what you call opening credit cards, right? If we, why do you want to use that, opening credit card, just for authorized user? I could use that for, opening a credit card of my own so that, we'll maximize the points, right? It really doesn't make sense to have an authorized user. I'm admitting on the podcast. I made that same mistake as well.
I will say there is a situation where I do recommend adding an authorized user. And this kind of depends on the subset of the people in your family. So like American Express with my gold card, it will tell me sometimes on there, you can get 10,000 points if you add an authorized user. I don't want to add my spouse, but my 13-year-old, Well, he's really 12. You have to be 13 for American Express. So he hasn't come up on this yet. But my podcast co-host, she has done this with her child. Now, she wasn't going to give her child free rein to use the credit card. Maybe she can take it as an opportunity to talk to her child about, finances and using credit cards appropriately. But she added her daughter as an authorized user. It kind of establishes a credit relationship for her child. Ultimately, that length of credit history matters for her child building their credit score one day. Teaches the child, and then you get 10,000 points when you use that authorized user's card to spend, say, $2,000 in the first couple months. There's always terms and conditions that you need to meet. But that's a situation that, this is a quick way to earn 10,000 points. Let me add my child on as an authorized user and go from there.
There are so many things I learned from this podcast. I've been researching about travel hacking, but I've learned at least a few things like that I have never heard before. So yeah, thanks for sharing that. So when it comes to beginner, so what are some of the easy beginner wins for somebody who's just starting out?
I think one of the easiest wins is we've already talked a lot about Hyatt. Hyatt is so easy. If you start with just that Chase Sapphire Preferred card, you earn, say, at least 60 or 75,000 points when you meet the terms. It's a easy win to see the value. Say you want to go to New York City for a couple nights. You can book with that one sign-up bonus 3 nights maybe in New York City, and you pay $0 out of pocket. It's such a quick, easy win to see the value. And now, wow, I signed up for this one credit card and my family got to go to New York City for a couple nights. I think that that's a fun, easy first step. Ultimately, you start learning the airline alliances and the sweet spots of where your miles can go further. I mean, you can go so deep in this rabbit hole, but that's a very basic, easy, you're going to get really good value from it. I think that's a good first step.
Yeah, for sure. I think I'm still, I'm still on that beginner mode, I guess. I'm still using like Hyatt, Chase Sapphire Preferred and Hyatt. Oh my God, maybe I've stayed like probably 100 to 150 nights using that card, and I've never paid a single dollar. So it's such a game changer. Yeah, such a game changer. All right. So can you talk at a high level about your Switzerland trip? I mean, with the part 2, we'll do a separate part 2 just to see all the specifics of how to earn points and stuff, but at a very high level, what airlines did you take and what hotels did you stay there?
Sure. So for Switzerland, we ended up flying out of the DC area, and we flew business class on Air France. It was not a direct flight. We connected through Paris, and then we flew into Geneva, Switzerland. And then we kind of worked our way via train in different stops, a couple nights here, a couple nights there, across, and flew out of Zurich. Out of Zurich, we flew Iberia, which is a Spanish airline. So we connected in Madrid. We actually had enough of a layover in Madrid that we left the airport and went out into the city for a little bit. Got my son a soccer jersey because he loves the team from there, and then flew back. So I used a combination. I used a lot of American Express points to make that trip happen. I used some Capital One miles to make it happen. I used the $300 travel credit that I had from my Capital One Venture X. There's not a lot of chain hotels, not a lot of Hyatt hotels in Switzerland, right? So I couldn't use my tried and true Hyatt trick. So I had to pay for some independently owned hotels. I used an Amex Platinum program. They have something called the Fine Hotels and Resorts program, which is really cool. It helps you get to experience a hotel as if you have their highest level of status, even though you don't have status with that hotel. So we booked a night through Fine Hotels and Resorts with Amex points. It gives you a room upgrade. It gives you $100 property credit to spend at a restaurant there at the hotel property. It gives you free breakfast, all those perks that you would have if you had the top tier loyalty. So we used a lot of strategies. I have it's for $10, I have a almost 60-page itinerary of our specific trip that goes into everything we use, stuff about the transportation and helpful apps and all of that stuff. So feel free to reach out. Anybody who wants all the nitty-gritty details and wants to maybe plan their own Switzerland trip, it's a good starting point for you to plan your own trip. And you can email me. It's wonderlandonpoints@gmail.com, and I'd be happy to send you that.
Sure. Yeah, I'm going to link that in the show notes as well. I'm excited also to, this is a separate podcast conversation to get into all the specifics of it. But yeah, that's actually, what do you call, like, it's lighting me up, that the possibilities of this travel credit points and miles.
I remember the day, it was a podcast episode. It was the day that I was like, I'm turning this dream that I've had for all these years into a reality. I was like, I'm starting today. I am planning this trip. You earn points and miles. It's fun to earn them when you don't have a dream, but if you have a specific goal, a specific trip you want to take, it just makes earning them so much more fun when you have a purpose for it and you're like, you know what, I'm going to stop dreaming about this and we're going to make this happen. We can do this because of points and miles. We can make it happen.
Yeah. That's also like, switching from mindless spending to a purposeful spending, and that too, as a family and we're gathering points. It's actually a journey, a journey worth taking for sure, a whole process. So yeah, so we are getting towards the end of the podcast. We have a closing tradition. I call them the hot seat questions. Are you ready for this?
Oh gosh, I hope. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, let's see. So the first one is regarding action. So compounding project is all about taking the first step of action for that compounding to kick in. So we spoke about a ton of stuff today. So for somebody who's just, listening to this podcast and who wants to take that first step of action, so what small action would you recommend them take?
You have probably gleaned from this podcast that there's a lot to learn about this topic. But I would say the first step is don't let it overwhelm you. It's easy to, I know some people think, I've got to learn everything about a topic before I can dive in. Don't do that. If you're using a debit card, stop. Today, if it's right for you, apply for a credit card and just start earning the points. And then you can figure out where to go from there. Don't think I need to learn everything before I get started, because you're leaving money on the table. You're leaving valuable travel on the table. If you don't have credit card debt, if you think that you can use a credit card responsibly, take the first step and just pick any of those. People will say, always start with the Chase Sapphire, always start with this card or that card. Doesn't matter. I would say start with a transferable points currency card, but go ahead and do it. Just get started and then keep learning as you go. Don't make an authorized user. That's all you have to know is on that first application, don't put an authorized user.
That's actionable advice right there. I think all it takes, just one trip or at least one hotel booking through transfer points, and it's actually, you'll get addicted, right? You
Yes,
just want
you
to
do.
keep doing it. Yeah, it says that the first trip is always the hardest, but actually that'll give you the momentum to take multiple trips. All right. The second question is regarding books. So compounding project is all about books, and then can you recommend like 3 books when it comes to maybe health, wealth, or wisdom, or maybe something about travel? Yeah, I'll keep that open.
For health, I think part of health is just enjoyment, right? So a nice, fun, easy read. So I'm going to give you a fiction book, actually, not a nonfiction health book, but a fun young adult fiction book. If you like sci-fi, if you like Stranger Things, there's a really fun young adult fiction book called Weird Space. It's by the author A.M. Wiley. Super fun, easy read. When you travel, it's a great little beach read or something for entertainment purposes, because life, you need some bright, fun spots. So that's my curveball for you for your health. For wealth, I'm going to give you a podcast. I know it's supposed to be a book, but we love podcasts. So I lately have been listening to Top Stocks with Sean Tepper. It's a short podcast. He gets to the point. I have really enjoyed it. I've taken some recommendations from that podcast. So if you're starting to play around with stocks a little bit, that's a fun podcast for you. For self-help, faith is a big part of my life. And I think part of making myself a better person, really, I draw from faith on that. So if you're someone who is curious at all about faith or God, there's a really cool one. It's called The Reason for God: Belief in an Age of Skepticism by Tim Keller. That's a cool one for if somebody's kind of been, you're kind of a skeptic, but you're curious. That might be a good option for you.
The great recommendation. I've never heard of any of them, so I'm going to link all of them in the description, and also maybe start reading them. Great one. And then the third one and the last one is like, what is your favorite money hack?
For me, it's got to be travel hacking, right? Using points and miles. I cannot afford travel. So I am a nurse educator at this point. My husband works at a university. We do not have big finance jobs or massive incomes. So the fact that I just got back from taking my family of 5 to Europe for 10 days, and to do it with creating no debt, without saving up, $15,000 a trip like this, just by maximizing my points earnings and my credit card rewards. I was able to take my family to see the world. So expand my kids' horizons. So that is my biggest money hack, is just really responsibly learning how to get value from credit cards.
I mean, that is such a hack. Actually, when I saw, before I learned about travel hacking, when I saw people taking all these fancy trips, right? I thought they were all rich. But yeah, when I explored all the people who have done this, even like business class flights, they're like regular people who are earning like regular salaries, and then they're taking all these vacations, and that's such a game changer. I mean, I hope people. I'll re-listen to this episode for sure. I hope people get value out of this. So that like thanks for being on the show. How can people learn more about you?
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It has really been fun. I love any chance I get to talk about this. My husband is sick of it. This is why I had to start a podcast, because my husband was like, I don't want to hear about this anymore. So I have to tell other people. So you can find me on Instagram. It's at Family Travel for the Win, with the number 4, Family Travel for the Win. And then our podcast is called Wonderland On Points. So we have a website that talks about credit cards, some of our favorite travel cards. It talks about questions like, how does it affect my credit score? All that kind of stuff. So find us there or email me.
Sounds great. I'm going to link all of them in the description. With that, Mary, thanks for your time. It's been a pleasure to have you on the podcast.
Oh, thank you so much.
All right. Yeah. If you found value in this episode, then please don't forget to subscribe to Compounding Project Podcast. Until next time, trust compounding and take action now. Thank you so much for watching or listening. If you enjoyed this episode, can you do me a quick favor and hit that subscribe button? If you like this episode, then you might enjoy this episode, which links in with some of the stuff we talked today. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.